dialing in from many places today, and for some of us across oceans as well. As hosts, the National Justice Project wants to acknowledge that we are based and work on Gadigal country and deeply acknowledge elders, past and present, and we want to extend this acknowledgement to all First Nations people on this Zoom link today. Advocacy and First Nations resistance go hand in hand, and we cannot speak of eradicating systemic discrimination and calling for better systems without deeply honouring and thanking the past and ongoing work of First Nations advocates. And for this we say thank you. Wherever we are on country where sovereignty has never ceded and land that always was and always will be Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander lands. Thank you, everyone. And we have the chat open for people to write where they're dialing in from. So please take the time to share which beautiful country you're dialing in on from today. So today we're all here for the Alternative First Responders campaign, and we will be exploring policy, people, and practice for building a better response beyond police. My name is Chloe Fragos, and I'm the campaign lead for this campaign run by the National Justice Project. Throughout the day, I'll be joined by other incredible colleagues who will be hosting, sharing, and learning with all of you today as well. Earlier this year, we launched this campaign to continue pushing forward a shared call that we need care, not first, in the first response. The list of reasons why we need an alternative is extensive, but we're not here today to necessarily focus on this. We are talking about the growing momentum and push to show that alternatives are not new, but builds on both current and past practice. Alongside advocacy across the country, we're seeing momentum and investment from overseas, which we'll hear from our two incredible international keynote speakers today about the broader networks of community support and critically unpicking what is needed for true community safety. This global shift shows that alternative first responders are not just possible, but they are becoming inevitable. And we really do believe this is an inevitable push towards this direction. How effective this transition will be dependent on the courageous support of our decision makers and what they're willing to invest in. The good news is that innovation ideas and frameworks already exist. They're being developed and practiced by communities who already know what true safety looks like. In these demands, we must listen. But alongside this momentum, we do have to acknowledge the sad push and pull of restrictive and punitive laws that are being introduced across Australia that can continue to feed the status quo. But this is why we're going to make this shared call back into our hands. And in movements around the world, people are doing the same. And we're asking our elected officials, how will you respond to the call to do and deliver better? We hope the answers are courageous ones, because choosing to invest in the ecosystem that enables the right response will benefit everyone. We want to acknowledge and thank those elected members who took up the invitation to join us today. We are joined by Chancey Peach, MLA from Territory Labor, and also Sue Higginson, MLC from New South Wales Greens as well. We say thank you to our event sponsors, Robertson Gill Lawyers, who share this vision and work alongside doing other courageous work in this space, and also the support of the UTS Centre for Social Justice and Inclusion as well. Before I hand it over to our chair of the National Justice Project, author, filmmaker and distinguished professor, and many, many other titles as well, Larissa Behrendt AO, for the official welcome, I just want to please take note of a few housekeeping rules that we have in our group chat as well. This event is being recorded today so that it can be made available for everyone after the event. So if you do not want to be change your name for that not to be captured or your image not to be captured, please feel free to turn off your camera or change your name as well. We do have the ability to have closed captions to be put on, so please on the bottom of your screen put those on if that will be of assistance to you. If you experience any tech difficulties in our chat, you'll be able to directly message Leah, who's the host for today, and she can help out with all your tech needs as well. And there are a list of number of different services available that if anything from today brings up anything for anyone, please contact these free services after today's session. Most importantly, look after yourselves and each other, and we are immensely grateful to each and every one of you for joining today, whether this is a new topic that has evoked curiosity, whether it is something that you've been in your communities fighting for a long time, or something that is of interest or expertise. we, are able to have this session today because of the interest and care and support of each and every one of you that has joined us today. So thank you for being part of this national conversation, and I hand it over to Larissa for our official welcome.
Thank you, Chloe. Hi, everyone. I want to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land that we meet on and pay respects to elders past and present. This is and always will be Aboriginal land, and that truth must sit at the centre of how we think about justice, safety and care in this country. I also want to begin with gratitude. Seeing this event filled with so many people, first responders, community advocates, policymakers, researchers, particularly acknowledging Chancey Page and Sue Higginson, but all of you who bring lived experience, it's really deeply encouraging. Your presence and enthusiasm reflect a shared belief that we can and must do better in this space. And each of you brings expertise, insight, and commitment. And it's that collective energy that will turn today's conversations into real world change. We're here because the current systems too often respond to distress with punishment and to vulnerability with enforcement. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, people living with disability, and those in crisis are still overrepresented in police interventions, custody, and deaths that should never have happened. Every case number has a name, a face, and a family, and every tragedy is a reminder that we have to move from a culture of reaction to one of prevention. We have to move from force to care. And for me, this isn't an abstract policy discussion. It's about humanity. When I was growing up, I saw people in my own community treated as problems to be managed rather than people to be understood and respected. And I've never forgotten that feeling, that sense of being unseen in the very systems that are meant to protect you. It's what drives my belief that justice has to be designed with people and not imposed upon them. As chair of the National Justice Project, I'm proud to stand alongside an extraordinary team that lives those values every day. Under the leadership of Professor George Newhouse as CEO, Naomi Lay as COO, and our principal solicitor staff and board, NJP has spent nearly a decade turning courage into action. We've fought for justice for families whose loved ones have died in custody, ensuring those stories are not buried or forgotten. We've advocated for refugees denied urgent medical care, using litigation and advocacy to hold governments accountable for basic standards of humanity. We've launched our First Responders campaign, calling for a national shift towards community-based, trauma-informed crisis response, so that when someone is in distress, the first call brings help and not harm. And we've supported landmark legal actions and policy reform efforts that challenge systemic racism and inequality, from policing practices to healthcare access. Behind each of these cases is a person who's trusted us with their story, and often at the worst moments of their life. That trust is sacred. It reminds us that justice work is not just about the law. It's about courage, it's about persistence, and dare I say it, it's about love. Today's gathering builds on that spirit. What makes this conversation powerful is the diversity of expertise gathered together into this forum. And every perspective here matters because every one of you sees something that others might not. I believe that innovation has always come from community. It's born from the refusal to accept that things have to stay the same. As somebody who grew up around the Redfern Aboriginal community, you can understand why I believe that to the core, and I've seen it in action. I also believe, as Chloe has said, that the answers are already out there in the programs led by communities, in the evidence from health and social care models, in the daily work of those who show up first when others are hurting. If we get this right, we could create a system where a mental health crisis is met by calm and training, not by flashing lights. Where Aboriginal families know that calling for help will not end in tragedy. Where governments measure success not by how many arrests they make, but how many lives they improve, where care, dignity, and accountability are not radical ideas, but a standard. Imagine what that would mean for trust, for healing, for the next generation watching how we choose to act now. So for me, that's why I believe this conversation matters, because justice doesn't begin in a courtroom. It begins in moments like this when people come together with the will to do better and thinking about big ideas. So my invitation to all of you is this. Take the energy of today back into your workplaces, your policies, your communities. Keep the dialogue alive. Keep challenging the systems that have forgotten their humanity. I believe if we bring courage, evidence, and compassion to the table, if we listen deeply to those who have been most harmed, we can build a country where first response means care first. That's the vision the National Justice Project stands for. And that's what I'm very proud to fight for. And that's what I know this group is capable of making real. Thank you.